Right here, we see Mac Beggs, a transgender wrestler, compete against a female wrestler, despite the fact that his body is filled with testosterone. Surprise, surprise, he beat all of the girls. Can we all agree that this is ridiculous? It doesn't matter what he feels, facts don't care about your feelings. He will always be male. What do you mean he was born female?
Now, call me crazy, but I fail to see why the genital shape you've had as a baby has that much effect on who you should compete against. To prevent unfair competition, I think team grouping should be decided by something far more relevant: hormones. I side with the International Olympic Committee's 2015 ruling, which states,
"Those who transition from female to male are eligible to compete in the male category without restriction. Those who transition from male to female are eligible to compete in the female category under the following conditions. The athlete must demonstrate her total testosterone level in serum has been below 10 nanomoles per liter for at least 12 months prior to her first competition."
in this video, I will explain why putting all trans people in the sports team of their assigned gender is really goofy, and it may be a little bigoted too. But before I do, here are some words that I'm going to be using in this presentation. Cisgender, often abbreviated to cis, applies to people who aren't trans. Lana Del Rey is a cis woman because she was assigned female at birth and she still identifies as a woman. A trans man is a man who was assigned female at birth, and a trans woman is a woman who was assigned male at birth. That being said, let's get into biology. If you are unfamiliar with the day-to-day lives of the transsexuals, you may think that biology is an unchangeable fact, to which I would say, you're wrong. With estrogen and testosterone blockers, she can become her. With testosterone, he can become him. And with testosterone, I can become someone whose voice cracks every 2 seconds. It even affects energy, as this study on trans women runners found. It's pretty irrelevant what Mac Beggs was born as, because his current hormone makeup gives him larger muscles, more hemoglobin, more red blood cells, and many other factors that make him an unfair competitor. Some people say, fine, let trans men compete against cis men, but trans women have denser bones than cis women, and trans women tend to be taller. Now, while it's true, hormones can drastically change your skeleton, it's untrue that these factors universally make a better athlete. A 2016 study comparing the bone density of black women and white women found that on average black women have higher bone density compared to white women. Despite this fact, sports are no longer segregated by race, so why should transgender status be worthy of segregation? For height, being naturally tall may be advantageous in some sports, but not in others. And even then, trans women who are tall should still be allowed to participate in those sports where their height is an advantage. All people have physical advantages and disadvantages, whether cis or trans. No one questions if extremely tall men should be barred from competing against shorter men, and both cis and trans women have the potential to be tall or short. The conversation of the inclusion of trans athletes has largely centered around those who've transitioned in adult life, but the issue of fairness is minimized even more when early transitioners are taken into account. With the use of puberty blockers, many transgender children completely avoid going through the puberty of their assigned sex at birth. Am I jealous? Yes, very. If Jazz Jennings, a trans woman who never went through male puberty, started a career in sports, the question of her physical advantage would be non-existent because she completely avoided any physical benefits that would come with male puberty. So if trans people lose almost all advantages when in the team of the gender they're medically transitioning to, why is there so much of an issue? Well, aside from miseducation, the reason for all of this discourse is quite insidious.
Let me paint you a picture. Your daughter is playing a contact sport, say football or hockey. She's gone from being your little girl to becoming a beautiful young woman. Opposite to her on the field or ice is someone who was once a man until he decided he didn't feel like one anymore. This person can now legally, physically attack your daughter.
Wow. Yikes.
There is an idea that trans women are deviant men, and that these deviant men want to physically overpower and dominate smaller, more feminine cis women. The reality is that trans people are far more likely to be the victims of violence than the perpetrators. A 2015 study found that within the previous year, 13% of those surveyed had been physically attacked, and nearly 1 out of 10 of those surveyed had been attacked because of their gender. We should also critique this idea as cis women being framed as passive, dainty objects. Cis female athletes are women who choose to compete, and they may choose to absolutely tear into one another. Many cisgender women are ripped, and just like trans women, the less they fit into standards of traditional femininity, the more likely they are to face harassment. Sexism and transphobia have no place in sports.